Funko have really hit the post with this. Hi there. You know, women's football is currently more popular than ever. So, I can't wait to see all the different women's football Funko Pops. Oh, okay. Is that really it, Funko? 6 different US players? What about World Cup winners Spain? Or the Euros winning Lionesses? No? Fine. I'll just make something myself then. The player I've chosen to create is England captain Leah Williamson. Leah plays for Arsenal as a centre-back, with whom she has won the Women's Super League, the FA Cup twice, the League Cup 4 times, and this season's Champions League, beating the favourites Barcelona 1-0. With England, she has won the Arnold Clark Cup twice, the She Believes Cup, and the Euros 22. And speaking of the Euros, the 2025 Euros in Switzerland are underway, and England have a very awesome looking new kit, which I want my custom Leah Pop to wear. So, let's get started! Thankfully, you can still get hold of these US national team pops, so I'll be using this Mia Hamm pop. But first, I need to pop the pop into a pot of hot water. This is to make the head easier to remove. Why won't you come off? Ah, finally. The New England shirt has a round neckline, and this pop has a V-neck, because of course it does. So I'm gonna have to make a new neckline. I will be doing this with something called Milliput. Milliput is a 2-part putty that will harden after a few hours. I just smush the putty into the neck area and I smooth out all the excess with some water. I use these sculpting tools to create the new neckline. You don't really need these though. I have used cocktail sticks in the past and pretty much got the same result. Now that it has cured, I'm smoothing it out with some fine wet sandpaper. I also need to sand the print a bit so it doesn't show up under the paint. And I'm sanding down the mould lines as well. This time I've actually remembered to cut the protruding parts on the neck off. This will make it easier to put the head back on when I finish customizing. Before I start painting, I'm just gonna mask off this grass base. With all that sorted, it is time to prime! I'm using Viejo Mecha Grey Primer as usual. It'll take a few coats. I start off with some light mist coats and build up to a heavier wet coat. Right, that is all dry, so I can spray on the white for the kit. I'm just spraying the whole body in this white, as it will be easy enough to cover with the other colours, and it saves lots of very boring masking off. While that dries, I can get on with spraying the head. For this, I'm using Viejo Premium Flesh Tone. And now that is done and dried, I can sort out the hair. I do not have the correct blonde shade to match Leah's hair, so I'm gonna have to mix paints. I'm using Viejo Model Air White and Medium Yellow. I only need a little drop of yellow though. That seems okay. I've got these Army Painter bottles to save a little bit of the paint in case there are any touch-ups needed later. What am I saying? There's always going to be some touch-ups needed. The blonde over the grey is going to look a little green at first, but after a few more coats, it should look just like Leah's lovely locks. That's it sorted. And I have a little left over to keep. Okay, I've spared you the boringness of watching me do all this masking off. So now it's time to do something fun. Spraying the shorts. I'm using Viejo Game Air this time in Magic Blue. I really don't know what the difference is between Model Air and Game Air. While I ponder that, let's take a look at how the head has turned out. If I can get this masking tape off, that is. It looks pretty nice. I have a couple of bits to touch up, but that's no problem though. I am painting Leah's bobble in white. She mostly uses a bobble that matches her hair, but it'll just look like I've forgotten to paint it if I leave it blonde. Ooh, I've got so much masking tape to get off now. I masked off a section on the sides of the shorts as well, as there is a white and red design there which I need to recreate. The blue shorts look so good. I really like this colour a lot. Of course, I will have to do some touch-ups here and there on that as well. And I still somehow managed to miss a bit, even though I covered it in masking tape. The shirt has some nice blue cuffs. There is absolutely no way I can paint these without masking tape though. I'm using this Tamiya tape, which is pretty good for getting around curved areas. Please don't have seeped through. Oh, damn it. Seepage. It's fine. It can be fixed. It's just kind of annoying, you know? With that fixed, I can move on to painting the skin. For this, I'm using the same paint colour I used for the head, although I do thin it a little with some water. This means doing a few extra layers, but it's worth it as you get a much smoother finish. It's time to do the boots. Leah wears these Nike Tiempo Legend 10 Elites in this gorgeous turquoisey colour. But of course, I don't have that colour, so I have no choice but to mix it myself. I did some testing and I will be mixing this Gall light blue and this foul green together. What a great colour. I wish I could buy this shade ready-made, but I couldn't find anything close to it in my local card game store, unfortunately. Now that the painting is all finished, I'm spraying over a coat of Viejo Premium Satin Varnish. I do this to protect the paint from the decal solution, and it also makes everything look so nice. I create the decals in Affinity Designer. The blue and red on the front of the shirt has a gradient effect, which I think it will be best if I make it as a decal rather than attempt trying to airbrush it. The lionesses have a special font for their shirt numbers with this thorn design added to it, so I have to recreate this as well. I added the extra graphics as well, even though it would be super hard to see all that detail when made into a small decal. I just enjoy trying to recreate them exact. The name font looked like it was just a basic font, but nope. All of the ones that matched didn't have the eye with the bars, so I had to add them myself. I also made the decal for the side of the shorts. Here are the decals that I've printed onto Hayes Waterslide decal paper. So I've got my water, some decal setting solution, some brushes and some scissors. I'm starting with this front decal. Here goes. I cannot get this to go on properly. I messed up the other two. Third time lucky. Maybe not. So I've decided to have a go at airbrushing it, as I could not get that decal to go on without it creasing up. I've practiced doing a gradient effect for a few minutes, so I'm now totally qualified to be able to do it on the actual figure. Right? I probably need an airbrush with a 0.2 or smaller needle for this, but I only have this Harder & Steenbeck Ultra, which is a 0.45 I believe. It does have a collar to adjust how much paint comes out, so I've set it to the lowest setting, which should help me not ruin the paint effect. I'm using Viejo Model Air in red, which I've thinned down a lot to prevent it going on too heavy. This bit is so scary. It could all go horribly wrong doing this blue gradient. Oh well, I could always redo the whole thing if I mess up. Right, I think I'll quit while ahead here. I think it looks okay. So let's get that masking tape off. I am actually pretty happy with that. It turned out better than I expected. Once the decals go on, hopefully it will look pretty good. The red on the shirt is a bit paler now that I have sprayed it, so I've printed some new decals with this paler red on the background. Let's get these decals on then. I always start at the neck and work my way down, mostly because the neck detail is very fiddly, and also to make sure I don't touch the decals. They can move out of place if you touch them, especially after putting on the micro set. I'm not 100% sure about where the sleeve patch placements will be once the Euros start, so I am basing it on the last couple of games that England have played. This is going to be a very busy sleeve. There's the We Play Strong patch, the UEFA Children's Foundation patch, and then Leah's captain armband. And you know what? I don't think you'll even be able to see them once the head goes back on. The other sleeve is nice and easy with just the Euros logo patch. I did read that England will wear an additional patch as the holders of Euros 22, which they have already been doing in the Nation League games. But I'm just going to use artistic license here and not add it. I mean, it looks fine in real life, but the proportions of these pops are obviously not very realistic. So an extra patch is just going to be too much on that small area. Leah's name print is a little unusual for a longer name. Longer name prints are usually curved slightly on the shirts, but hers is just straight across, so I had to make it quite small to fit. I actually quite like it like that though. Anyway, I've done enough blethering for now. It's montage time. Look what I bought! For research purposes, of course. I want to do the design on the ball, so I needed to see how the pattern works. Does anyone else think they look a bit like little Millennium Falcons? Now that's all done, I need to apply the eye and eyebrow decals. These female pop eye decals with the eyelashes are really not the easiest to get on symmetrically. I recreated the eyebrows by tracing over a picture of Leah in Affinity Designer, and I make sure they are correctly spaced apart with a ruler. And now it's back to the spray booth for some more satin varnish. This will make the edges of the decals less noticeable and take away the shininess from those decals. Now that that is dry, I can get the head back on. I am so happy with how she turned out. I'm so glad I had to go airbrushing the shirt gradient. I think that might actually be my favourite part. But she is not quite finished yet. She still needs a box. I'm creating the box in Affinity Designer, but this could also be done in Canva. I use presentation card to print out the designs, and then I laminate the designs to strengthen and waterproof them. Now I just need to cut out the designs. I really need to buy a new one of these line cutters. This one is very blunt. I need a window for my box, so I just reuse the one from the Mia Harm box. The bits of cardboard wipe off quite easily with a damp cloth. Then I stick it on with double-sided sellotape. I also use this tape to stick the box together. Finally, the figure is finished. I am super happy with how she's turned out. But before we take a look at the final result, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to put your laces through that subscribe button. Now here's the final result.